everyone. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the different types of anxiety, because people just often say anxiety or I have anxiety, and actually I don't think that's really very helpful. There's actually lots of different presentations of anxiety, and it feels very different and means different things to different people. So I think what's a lot more helpful if you are feeling anxious is to try to break that down into either what do I feel in my body, and sometimes that can be difficult because you may have disconnected yourself from your feelings in your body to be able to cope with the continual sort of feelings of anxiety and feeling aroused. But start with like, can I feel anything in my body? What am I feeling and whereabouts? So it might be like, okay, my stomach feels tight, or I can feel my heart is beating quite fast. So that's the first thing that I often ask clients to do, is to like recognize what it is they're feeling in their body. And then secondly, let's not call it anxiety. Let's try to break it down into what actually are you feeling. So, you know, let's give you some examples. Some clients, this will be like manifesting as, I feel fearful when I'm going to go to the shops, which is not something to be frightened about. I actually feel fear. So let's name it. I feel fearful. And then once we understand that, then we can really start to think about how we address that in the best way, because there's different ways of addressing this depending on what it is that's presenting for you. And I'll give you another example. You can see how different these can be. So another example could be, and I've seen this quite a few times, people that go into a freeze, what's called a freeze response. So actually they're not feeling anything at all. They're almost frozen. Their bodies have completely shut down and they're feeling numb, and they're unable to actually connect to what they're feeling or to name a feeling. And this is often born or developed in younger ages, where people would experience a traumatic event, and the brain has learned to respond for safety to that traumatic event by shutting down, by going into like this sort of, this sort of curled up posture, that sort of frozen response. And then the more times that happens, the more times that becomes the default response. So I would deal with that in a completely different way. So this is why I think it's really important to try to move away from I am feeling anxious, and certainly do not call it my anxiety. It's not you. It does not define you. It is just a feeling. So you wouldn't say, for example, my joy, my happiness. So let's not call it my anxiety. Let's try to break it down a little and try to understand what it is that's manifesting for us and what it is we're feeling. And then once we understand that, we're in a much better place to think about strategies where we can actually deal with it effectively. One of the things that can manifest with feelings of anxiety, or particularly aroused type of anxiety, is this racing brain situation. So if that is something that is happening for you, like racing thoughts, unable to concentrate on anything at one time, moving ahead with your thoughts, or going backwards and not really being in the moment, then if you just comment free below, I've developed a guide for this very thing. It's got videos in it as well, so it just shows you how to do these techniques, and it will help you to start to still the mind, which in turn, with the mind being calmer and less active, this will feel calmer and more relaxed in the body, so you'll get this sort of double effect. So comment free below if you'd like that guide. If not, just really sort of think about trying to break down your thoughts and your feelings, and not calling them anxiety, but just trying to identify what is it that's happening for me in my body. Hope that helps.